Welcome back, y'all. This is the Bluechip Breakdown, and I'm your host, Bull. It's time for my 7 keys to victory for our Tennessee Volunteers and a game prediction. Please make sure to like and subscribe. Later on tonight at 7:45 p.m. Eastern Time, we will be going live for our midweek chat, just kind of breaking down Tennessee versus Alabama. All fan bases are welcome. Please come in with your thoughts, questions, and concerns as early as possible so that we can try to get to everybody, okay? We're going to be very heavy in the chat. We hope to get to everybody, but if you come in late, I don't know if we will be able to just because the chats can't last forever. Also, we're going to be switching things up. It's going to be Timmy G and I, but we're going to be adding Sports Talk J tonight. So we know that y'all love those crossovers, and we hope that you will be joining us again. It will be at 7:45 Eastern Time. Now, let's go ahead and jump into this video. Number one key for me for Tennessee to win this game is going to be to limit the quarterback runs. We all know that Jalen Milroe is very explosive. He's a very fast football player. He's been clocked at 23 miles an hour this season. So we had to kind of limit what he likes to do. They love to use him on the edges, and they run him about 13 times a game. That's more than anybody else on their team. So if I've kind of picked up on some of these tendencies, like, whenever they go empty, if it's in the red zone, if it's third and short, that it's like high alert that there's going to be some sort of a quarterback run. I know that our staff and that our players understand that too. The biggest thing is going to be in the execution, like we talked about, limiting him from getting to those edges, keep him contained on the inside so that we can rally and tackle him because if the play could maybe go 10 to 15 yards on the inside, on the outside, that's 30, 40, 50 yards, and it could be 6. So we just have to be able to execute, obviously, without Keenan Pili. The linebacking core, for me, I'm a little bit stressed out about it because it doesn't look as deep, doesn't look as strong. We got some good athletes, but I don't know if they can stick with a player like Milroe, who's at about a lower 4.3 40, running at 23 miles an hour. But if we could, have our safeties and things like that, really just playing discipline, then we should be able to kind of bottle him up, and that'll take away a major portion of their rushing game. Key number 2 for me is going to be to limit the deep passes. Now, even dating back to last season, we knew that Jalen Milroe loved to throw the football deep, and he's very accurate doing that. But this season, there's a stronger point of emphasis in throwing the football deep. And most teams are playing quarters coverage, which is just a very deep coverage designed to limit all those deep passes. The crazy thing is, guys like Ryan Williams are so fast that they're running past that deep coverage. Now, I do think that Tennessee has some players in the secondary that could probably stick with Ryan Williams. They're just as fast and they can maybe stay on top of him. So we'll see. The biggest thing, though, is that, Jalen Milroe doesn't really care if he's covered up or not. He's throwing it up for grabs, and Ryan Williams and some of the other guys are still making those catches. So we have to try to limit those, deep shot plays and all of that just to make Alabama have to sustain some drives and, all that good stuff. So key number 3 for me is going to be to get pressure with 4. Now, this kind of touches on, those first 2 keys. Number 1, if we can just bring pressure with only 4, we have more players that we could dedicate to spy Milroe and limit his legs. And then number 2, with Alabama's, deep passing threat, what they like to do is keep a running back and a tight end in there just to block and make sure that everything is set up properly, as they're trying to force the football down the field. And if, they don't have any pressure, then the running back and the tight end will go on out. Now we've got more people that are underneath. And if we are bringing more than 4, then we don't have enough people in coverage dedicated to, 5 passing threats. So that's going to be huge, man. If our front 4 can get pressure on Milroe consistently, which I saw South Carolina do, we can force him into some turnovers. He will throw the football into covers like we talked about. So that's going to be huge. Key number 4 for me, this is going to be the first week, y'all, that I have 4 keys for our defense. That's how important defense is going to be in this game. But key number 4 is going to be that the linebackers have to execute. As we touched on, without Keenan Pili, there's not really that veteran leadership. I think that Arion Carter has played well, but, he's definitely not playing perfect. He's not playing on the level of a Keenan Pili. Jeremiah Thielander, same thing. I kind of feel like he's maybe a step or 2 behind Arion Carter at this point. Those guys got to step up, and maybe even more so the players that come off after them. Guys like Jalen Smith, Caleb Perry. I have not loved what I've seen from them so far throughout this season. But guys like, Jalen Smith, he's kind of taking some strides, but they just need to execute. Their eyes need to be right. Get into your run fits. Make sure that you're not just covering grass. Actually cover somebody in your zone coverages. If you're spying, understand what your keys are, what's your leverage. Try to funnel the play back in to your teammates. And if they could make some plays by forcing some turnovers, because Milroe, whenever he runs, still carries the football like a loaf of bread. Go get the football. Make a pick. Make a play. We need for them to do that, but it really all just starts with very basic fundamental execution. Key number 5 for me is going to be to stick to the run game. So this is the first key for our offense. I think that in this game, Tennessee can run the football on Alabama. That's going to be huge for us to try to keep that very explosive offense off the field. Also kind of limit the guys that I think Tennessee's going to want to try to hide in this game keep them off the field. Like limit the amount of reps that they can have out there by controlling the clock, running the football over and over and over again. We won't always find success in doing that, but over the course of a 60-minute football game, once it gets to crunch time, that will pay dividends for us. It's also going to open up things down the field where Nico should have some much easier windows to throw the football to, things like that. But, I love the idea of trying to establish that bully ball with our offensive front. I believe that will help them out in pass protection as well. Now, key number 6 for me is going to be to hit the deep shots. What I'm talking about right here, obviously, are those deep passes. If we can come out and if we can establish that run game like we just said, all of a sudden the play action, the RPO game will start to make those linebackers and safeties creep up, and we'll have even, larger windows down the field. People will get open. I trust this wide receiving core. I trust our, offensive play calling and our scheme. I know some people are kind of down on it, but man, if you go back to that Florida game, we really opened things up and we just missed several shots, whether it's deep shots, whether it's intermediate, or whether it's just short stuff. We missed it. So I think that Nico has to make sure that he's hitting those shots. And we also have to give him the time to hit them. You know what I'm saying? Like the offensive line, everybody, whether it's tight ends, running backs, everyone's got to do a really good job of just protecting Nico, giving him the time to force the football down the field on some of those deeper ones. And then, our wide receivers and our tight ends and whoever else is going out to catch passes, run the correct routes. And whenever you get that opportunity, make a play, make a catch. We need for folks to start stepping up in a very, very major way. Number 7 for me is going to be to control the ball. What I mean by this is like we just talked about with being able to run the football, keeping Milroe and, all those guys off of the field, but also with just like not fumbling snaps, like not fumbling at the mesh point when there's no one there. You know what I'm saying? Like not throwing interceptions by staring stuff down. All of that, we have got to control the football. We've got to maintain the football on offense. We've got to take care of it. Same thing could be said about defense. Go get the football, man. Punch at the ball like we touched on earlier. Get you some picks, make some plays. But I think that whoever can control the ball the most in this game is going to end up winning. You could probably say that for most games, but this is not a game that I feel like either team has this huge edge where it should be some sort of a blowout. It's going to be close. So the turnover margin is going to be critical. But I think that our team is going to be up to these challenges right here. I think that we can hit on all these keys. And if we do, Tennessee will have a very, very successful day. All right, y'all, now let me give you my game prediction, starting off with Alabama's offense versus Tennessee's defense. First and foremost, their offense is very explosive. They've got several playmakers. They have a really nice scheme that they execute well, so they will make some plays. The biggest thing for Tennessee's defense is just going to be to limit the amount of explosive plays that Alabama has, especially in that running game with Jalen Milroe's legs. All the read option stuff that they like to do, I think that Tennessee's game plan is going to be, hey, Milroe ain't going to keep it. We're going to make sure that he's handing it off every single time. And if we do that, it makes it a lot easier on the other players to understand where the football is going to go. So if I'm Tennessee, that's what I'm doing. And I think that that's definitely going to be what the game plan is, because that's kind of what it was with Taylor Green in Arkansas. That's typically what it is. The quarterback is not going to beat us. And he's a major part of their entire offense, but especially their running game. If we can slow that down, we'll kind of start to get them off track and make them have to do something a little bit different, something that they don't normally do. And I think that as soon as that happens, Tennessee's in a really good position. But, we're going to have to try to mix up how we stop it, right? Because our ends are going to have to be the person that stops Milroe, our linebackers, to star players, maybe cornerbacks sometimes, safeties, all of that. I actually wouldn't mind seeing Tennessee, like we talked about earlier, in this week, get into more of a dime package look, because we've got more veteran safeties that at least I trust to get into their run fits and execute on their assignments, as opposed to some of these other linebackers now that Keenan Pili is going to be out. So we'll see what Coach Banks does with that, but I really just would not be surprised to see us only go with one linebacker and 6 DBs. But outside of that, man, I think that our front four should have a really good day in pretty much just stopping what Alabama likes to do on the ground, because Alabama's offensive line is good, but they're not maulers outside of Caden Proctor. He is a mauler, but the other guys, they're solid, right? But I don't think that they're going to be able to move our guys up front. So the guys, that front four, they need to have a great day, and I think that they will. The secondary, they're going to hold up well. We'll see a lot of different coverages, whether that's cover 4, cover 3 with the blitz, or, different variations of cover 3, different variations of man with the spy. Blitz is coming from, I think, everywhere. And, also, maybe a little bit of cover 2, but especially cover 2 man, which I did see us run versus Florida. And we looked very good doing that. So there's a whole lot of different things that Tennessee can do to try to slow down Alabama's offense. And I think that Tennessee will find success. I don't know exactly how many points Alabama is averaging per game. I think it's 40 something, but I think that we'll hold them up under. I don't want to give like an exact number, but I'll say I think that we'll hold them well under that. So I will give an exact final score prediction coming up on Saturday. But now let's flip it on over to Tennessee's offense versus Alabama's defense. Like I've talked about all week, right? We got to run the ball, man. 50 plus times in this game. Lean on our best player on offense. Let him go to work. Let Bishop come in. I hope that we see some of Cam Seldon too. And I would do all of this working out of 11 personnel, because whenever we do that, we've got some smaller guys out there that we can run on a lot more effectively. And I trust this offensive line to be maulers versus Alabama's front seven. I think that we can find plenty of success running the football. I think that, man, we could run for somewhere close to about 220, 230 yards in this game on the ground. Yeah, we're going to have to use Nico's legs some, but maybe not as much. Just kind of, just enough just to try to keep their defense honest. Once that starts to happen, if we could get, like, let's say early on in this game, if Nico breaks a, like 10, 15-yard game with his legs, all of a sudden, dude, as long as we stick to that running game, that game is probably going to end up being over, just because that's going to be huge. If Tennessee can establish that running game, be dominant right there, I think that Tennessee wins, no doubt, just because everything else opens up. Now, let's talk a little bit more about Alabama's pass defense. So first and foremost, we talked about them versus South Florida. We know that whenever the field is spread out, you can tell exactly what they're doing, exactly what the coverage is. You can tell exactly where the blitzes are coming from. That's going to help every single body on our offense to know what to do on that play. So there shouldn't be any bust, okay? Just as long as we can physically hold up, which I think that we can, especially on the outside. If we can establish that running game, start to work off of play action and, RPOs, then people will be so wide open, it's going to be crazy. All Nico has to do is hit them. Biggest thing for the offense is going to be, do not turn the football over. Take care of the ball and just keep on running it. Keep that very explosive Alabama offense off the field. And if that happens, which I think that will happen, Tennessee is going to win this game. I'm not going to say by how much until Saturday morning. So please tune in to our live pregame show for that. But I think that Tennessee will win this game. Should be a whole lot of fun up there on Rocky Top. Obviously, man, the crowd's going to be crazy. Guys like Ryan Williams, first time playing in Neyland. Probably several players for Alabama, first time in Neyland. How do they respond to that? Because they ain't seen nothing like it yet. But I think that Tennessee will win this game. Those are my thoughts. Please let me know yours down in the comment section. We hope to see everybody tonight at 7:45 for that midweek chat. But please do us a very big favor and make sure to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, share with your friends, family, and other volunteer fans on your way out. We'll see y'all later on tonight. Thanks. Peace.